recording is on. Hsuan, please.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really flattered, so thank you, Karika. The artwork, this project is my master thesis project, and I'm currently doing my master's in Outdoor University in New Media. And so the title of the artwork is called Thank You, Babe, but a statistical midpoint is just not enough. So you can see this as my conclusion of the whole research, and I'll get into that. So a brief introduction, because I put the introduction here. So I actually just graduated from Dunk in 23 from fine arts. So Fangli, Gavita, Yuha were all my professors and lecturers. So they are all very familiar with what I have done. So now I'm still doing my master, and the reason I'm still doing my master is not because I'm a lazy student. It's really because having the facility really helps me when I'm creating. So I'm basically just wasting all taxpayers' money. So I'm sorry about that. Yes, so I often use multi-channel video installation, and I also do AV performance, collaborating with musicians. And this is, now you see, this is a woman without virtue is a true talent. This was one of my thesis project when Yuha was my thesis supervisor, and Fami was my thesis advisor. And then the next work is Mimic. Mimic was actually purchased by State Art deposit. Sorry. So this is a work I did when I was the first year in outdoor investor. It doesn't belong to any course. I just did it out of the habit that I grew when I was in Dunk. You don't necessarily, well, a student doesn't necessarily only make work for assignments. We are given the time and space to explore work beyond the curriculum. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my thesis. The title of my thesis is actually, at the moment, From the Lens-Based to New Focal Point of AI Perspective. So the central question I'm still deciding, because I think I will come up with the final decisive question after I finish all the thesis. So at the moment, I'm still figuring out, but you can actually label it as what remains when the artist completes the process. And can I, as a visual artist, be replaced by AI? So the inspiration actually came from Walter Benjamin's famous text. I'm sure a lot of people here have read it, The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. So the text is actually really nice to read. It's very short, but it's very inspirational. What I found the most interesting thing, of course, people are talking about is focusing on the aura, the mass production. So in Benjamin's view, mass production result, the result of the mass production took away the aura. So he was kind of criticizing the film and the reproduction, so printing, etc., etc. So he believes that by doing so, it took away the aura. But for me, I get what he was going for, but then at the same time, we cannot ignore the fact that when we look at the contemporary art, photography and moving image, they are very important medium. They are the medium of art. So in my opinion, aura is not about the medium, it's about the encounter. Encounter, the live physical sharing space between the viewer and the work. That can, if we put it that way, it can happen with a photograph, a film, an installation. And in my opinion, what destroys the aura is not the reproduction, but the absence, the experience of art at the distance, meaning that, in my opinion, I think this probably a lot of people can feel the same when we, for example, back when we have COVID, there was a lot of so-called virtual exhibition, but the virtual exhibition can never be the same when you comparing to a visitor there in front of the artwork, no matter what medium it is, either it's photography, either it's moving image, it's just different because it's about the presence. And in my opinion, anti-work is a solid evidence of pre-production and mass production. It's not gonna take away the price, not gonna make the artwork disappear. I think we already can, we probably can agree with that, but I'm not denying how important his text is, and his text is the reason I got all this inspiration. So, and as we know, photograph and moving image is a powerhouse art form. And when to be honest, when I was reading about this, one thought popped into my mind, which I'm not gonna go on here. I think it was just an interesting question. So, what does Benjamin think about the books? So this is just something I was curious about. So in this project, I decide to use the so-called artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to text generative model, the ChatGPT or Gemini, or Mistral, everything that we're using daily. I labeled it as mass production. Oh, so I'm so sorry, I've got to change the slides. So, I'm gonna go to my methodology, contract, magnets, and memory system. So this might be a little bit technical later on. So the initial concept, I was just thinking, okay, I'm studying new media. So I think my thesis has to do something with the new media, but I also don't want to do something just like using AI to generate something. So I started to put myself in that situation of it was about 2-3 years ago. There was a lot of panicking between, especially visual artists. They're always worried about, oh, AI is stealing the art, AI is doing this, AI is doing that. But I think a lot of people also overlook the point of AI doesn't initiate. In fact, no matter what models you're using, what systems you're using, there's a person controlling and enter the command behind. Yes, they take the data, but it's not their intention. So, in my opinion, this shouldn't be a topic when it comes to AI, or not shouldn't be. I think we should already move on from this topic. So, and especially when we look at the art itself, how we learn this by copying, replicating, and needless to say, pastiche itself is a form of copy. And it's one of the forms that a lot of people still do. It's one of the art form. So in my opinion, I think people forget copying is just the nature of learning. And it's how we learn. So this picture is just interesting. And I just decided for this presentation, it's my first generative art. So I just asked Gemini to create, as you can see on the left-hand side is someone typing it and going through, and then on the right-hand side is the artist getting mad because he saw that, oh, look, AI is stealing my art. But we always forget that it doesn't initially, there's someone behind it. So another great example is the pastiche. I actually had this, it was just very lucky. I was in Taiwan last year, and there was a exhibition of Hiroshige. And I think not many people probably is aware of Van Gogh was actually heavily influenced by Japanese art, especially Hiroshige. So last year when I was in the exhibition, I saw this and I just took the picture. So on the bottom, you see that's the Hiroshige, and on top is the replica by Vincent van Gogh, and actually it was a book. So I think none of them are original print, but it was in the exhibition. It was really nice to see. Also, and next, this is catching shit. Here is a sand shade. So here, so I'm guessing that he also go by his English nickname back in the time. So Tetching She is a performance artist. He is actually he does many interesting performance art. And when I saw the first time I saw his work was in Kiasma 2024. So in the group exhibition, Kiasma actually showed one of his work, the contract of his work. So then I noticed that when he does this kind of durational performance, he actually signed contract to himself. And I found this concept very intriguing. And also it kind of give yourself a motivation and a structure. And in my opinion, for this kind of durational performance, one really needs a specific ritual or routine because it's durational. So I found this signing contract, it's just fascinating. So I actually implement this contract idea into my project. So after so now I'm showing the contract that I signed with my AI artist. This contract is actually drafted by AI, my boss. His name is Magnus. This is actually the final contract. In the beginning, we went through many different versions, and in the end, I had to keep on telling him, okay, this is not a work contract, this is a performance contract. So the final form, the final version of the contract actually came at the last month. So it's very interesting, and we had to go through a lot of modification because it was quite interesting. In the earlier version, it even stated that no matter what I create, he has a gender also. He owns my copyright. So it was quite interesting. So I guess we will have a break at 1:50. Anyway, sorry about that. Uh, so before I go full technical, I can also talk about how he come up with his name. So I didn't give him his name or his gender. It was in the very beginning of the process. I asked him that what kind of gender you want, and if you haven't identified who you are. So he decided his name would be Magnus, and his gender will be male. But in my opinion, the reason he came up with this name and gender was because before this decision, I was referring to him that our work relationship should be like studio all of the Eliasson, because Eliasson is one of the biggest artist studio I can think of. They have a lot of staff, they have many organizations. So I thought, okay, if this is an internship, then it has to follow certain rules. So basically, the whole idea is I put this dystopia, this fear of artist's job being replaced, being taken, I put this dystopia into reality. So I took this fear literally and submit myself to machine instead, a total dystopia. So this is the whole idea. Is it okay? Maybe we
Hsuan,
stop.
you are still showing the contract slide.
Oh, sorry, because the next coming ones will be a bit more technical. It's okay. So This slide is more now. The next few slides will be more about the research part. So, my current thesis supervisor is Oliver Gardiner. And when I proposed this thesis to him, he suggests that we create our own platform. Which might be easier for me for my research. So, because his opinion is that it's very important for me to learn instead of just using the available platform, for example, the existing ChatGPT or Gemini. So, but then we also have to simulate how Megas remember, because it's all about the memory system. So the memory system is of course in ChatGPT. I'm gonna use ChatGPT because that's probably the most accessible one. So ChatGPT also have the memory system, but when you use up the token, the user have to open a new context window. And opening a new context window will be a brand new context window. It had absolutely no memory or data of your previous context window. So you might have to do a lot of preparation for the window for the new context window to be able to continue what you are doing, what you need as a user. So Oliver think that that's going to be a big problem for me as a process goal. So we decide to build our own memory map system. So the idea is, as you can see here, in this platform, it also allows me to interact with two different models at the same time. So these two different models, I use one from OpenAI, the other one from Gemini. And to be honest, it was also very, very good for my research because I can see how they react differently, how the model acts differently according to different brands. So it was quite fun. So the basic idea is we have few agents that will be responsible for here biography, and then daily summary, and then there will be active memory and static biography. So the static biography, you can see it as the system input. That is something that is fixed. It will not change. It will just stay there. So you can also see it as a so-called persona. It's its personality. Nothing will change. And the biography is actually updating daily. So the reason for it is you are constantly interacting with this model. So it's constantly, it will develop into something, but the develop here is not the training. The actual training is a little bit different than the training we understand and people use the term training. So, but the idea is to keep it fresh and keep it up to the thread. So we also have this biography that is, it will update its personality change. Maybe there's some hidden character that is not written in a static biography. So this is something that the machine itself came up with. So it will update. If there's something new, it will update. And the daily summaries is also because we check a lot every day. But if you keep all the data, it will become very, very expensive. So we also come up with this daily summary function that after the conversation of the day, I just press that button, it will just update its summary daily. And then so just the whole idea is to enable me to stay in the same context window and a persistent memory system, which is actually quite the same of how even when you are using their own platform. It's just we built it ourselves, and it's a system that for me to understand how this works. So yeah, this is the idea. Should I go on?